Welcome everybody to the Town of Bluff Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. It is 6:03 p.m. We are meeting virtually and streaming via YouTube and in the community center. Let us start this evening with a roll call. We'll start with planning and zoning. This is Amanda Podmore, chair.
Marcia Haydenfeld.
You're muted, Malia.
Ed Dobson.
Great. So we heard from Leah Collins, Ed Dobson, and Melissa Eggy. And Marcia, thank you. Let's go with town council.
Luann Hook.
Thank you, Luann. And town manager.
Erin Nelson.
Thanks, Erin. And welcome to all of our guests this evening. Our agenda tonight, we have approval of meeting minutes and then public citizens to be heard. We have some old business items, including update from town council and an email address update from Erin. We have new business, including land use clearances, a discussion with Mr. Shumway about a subdivision request. Item 5 on our agenda, Sally Clark's request for information on solar development. She is unable to attend this evening, so we're going to remove that from our agenda, and then we'll close with items for next week and other. Marcia, did you want to suggest a change to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I would move to put Erin Nelson's report on email addresses after our two discussions with the public, because Erin mentioned to me in passing that it might take a little while for us to go through this email stuff, and I don't think our guests should have to listen to us figure all that out. Is there a second?
I second that.
Great. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of changing the agenda accordingly, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Ed, I didn't hear from you.
Oh, yeah, I said aye.
Oh, great. Sorry, I missed you. All right. Motion passes. We will move that agenda 2 to after agenda item 4. We will start with approval of meeting minutes from our regular meeting from January 4th. So let me do a quick screen share. I know that there were a couple comments in there. No, wait. Is this the wrong one? Am I sharing the wrong one? Yep. Share this tab. No, which one am I?
I think the date may just be incorrect. I think it might just have 2 instead of a 1.
Okay. It says, yeah, it says February, so it should say January. Okay. So we'll change that to January, and then scrolling down. Under review of commission rules, Marcia added, change the sentence to read, Dobson inquired and the commission clarified that both the agenda need to be physically posted, and Amanda would research if the approved minutes are to be publicly physically posted. Everybody good with that change?
I think we wondered if it all had to be posted, but you were going to check on the latter.
Yeah. Okay. And then, okay, so we can accept that change. And then under item 8 on RVs, Marcia changed the last sentence to read, Nelson mentioned that the Utah League of Cities and Towns will be going into legislative session, and she will look into whether they can help us with this further over the next month. Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Hearing no objections. Okay. Any other comments on the minutes from January 4th?
I would make a motion to accept the minutes from January 4th, 2023 as amended.
Second.
As long as the January is changed from February. I will log on now and get that edited.
Great.
But it does read the correct month.
All right. All in favor of approving those minutes with as amended, say aye.
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 Aye. Any approve or any abstain?
This is Melissa. I'll abstain. I was not present at the meeting.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay. Ed, I didn't hear your vote again.
I must not be talking loud enough because I'm hearing everybody else when I'm saying the same thing. Aye.
Did others hear him? Is it just me? Okay. But
didn't
sometimes
hear.
when people talk at the same time, it like picks one mic over the other. Anyway, motion passes with 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Thanks, everybody. We will now move on to the public citizens to be heard section of our agenda. If anybody would like to share a comment up to 3 minutes in length, please let me know verbally or via the chat. Once, going twice. Okay, I will close the public citizens comment period for the agenda. We'll move on to old business. Item 1 is update from the town council. So Luann, can you give us a quick update on what's related to planning and zoning?
The lowdown. Huh? We had a work session January 6th and a regular meeting the 10th and then the 17th and the 24th. We did the 24th instead of the 3rd. And so I kind of pulled off the most interesting things. So if you have questions, or if you saw something go by in the minutes, just holler. But one of the big things was that we did vote to turn down the request to disconnect from a portion of Bluff up on the Bluff Edge. We denied that request. We had an active transportation committee update. Got the committee's meeting, or not the committees, the workshops that Bike Utah will be sponsoring on March 23rd at the elementary school in the afternoon. And then on the 24th with stakeholders, government official types, UDOT types, and then another session for residents to hear everybody's input from as many people as we can. And Bike Utah leading that whole effort. We, we reappointed Mayor Pro Tem Jim Sayers, and Brant is the treasurer, and Linda Sosa is the clerk. She's also gotten the PTIF set up, which is a savings investment account that the governments in Utah can use, and so that's in place. So we're moving forward on that. Aaron will talk about the changeover, the IT changing over to it'll be a .gov address, and it'll be very secure for email and all of that. But it'll be using it'll be using the Microsoft version instead of the Google Meets and the Google all of that stuff that we've been using. So we'll all have to be patient as we all get up to speed on that. The CDBG grant to remodel the community center there's a request. It's an RFQ request for something. Anyway, it's basically looking for an engineer to come in and design it and make a plan. So then that can go out to the people that could actually do the building of it. So that's on schedule. It's happening right now in February. There's a solar eclipse planning committee because that October 13th, 14th could see quite a few people. So they're trying to circumvent any problems and try to plan to make it good for people that are visiting and the residents. The IDA is the International Dark Sky Association. We've got an application getting going for the designation as a dark sky community. So that's moved along too. I'm leading that application with hopefully help from interested folks like Aaron and Sarah. And if anybody else has time to help pull that whole application together, let me know. We're advertised for a community center manager. We've had an interim. Malia Collins has been the interim, and it's officially advertised to get somebody to monitor, do all the reservations and all of that kind of stuff. And then our big thing was the strategic planning. We did a full day on the 24th and then a half a day on the 25th of January. And then on the 26th, we did a follow-up with the town council for another half a day. And there were probably 25 participants from town, and then 3 moderators that directed us and kind of kept us all corralled and looking forward and dividing areas up. So we and they will come back again with another big group session and work towards presenting a plan that then the council will accept. So that was the quick version. Are there any questions or any additions that anybody has?
Looks like no questions. Thank you so much, Luann.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay. Let's move on to item 3 of the agenda, which is land use clearances. And we have the Munson Munn garage extension land use clearance request. I believe we have folks on the call. Let me see. Hi, Anne. How are you? Oh, I believe you're still muted.
This is Mylan.
Hi, Mylan. Thank you for joining us. And Anne is here as well.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
Before the commission discusses the land use clearance application and might ask you some questions, would one of you give us just a short narrative of what your project is?
Okay. What we plan on doing is adding an addition on the west side of the existing home. It would be about 837 square feet. There would be 396 feet of that would be a garage, and 441 square feet would be a den and storage room. They originally, when we designed the home, they had a 2-car garage on the home, and then where it was a second home, they decided it only needed to be a 1-car garage, and so they took down the size of the home and the garage. Now they had sold their home in Montana, and this is now the permanent home. And so they're needing more space again, and so we're looking to do the addition on the home.
Great. Thank you so much. So I have the land use clearance on the screen. I can scroll up and down as needed. Do any commissioners have any thoughts or questions? Marcia, go ahead.
Would you slide down to the drawing where the setbacks are? So there. Everything looks fine in terms of setbacks, except I'm confused by the double line of the outline of the property. Can you see that? Do you see what? It kind of looks like one was laid on top of the other. Could you go down just a pinch, Amanda? Does it go all the way to the bottom of, yeah. So
Marcia, I'm wondering if those are just the measurement lines and not a double line of property. Are we looking at the same thing?
I think so. Go up to.
You mean like this?
Yeah. See how there's an overlap of the square? Am I looking at measurements or two drawings of the lot line? And it just got confusing.
It may be a line for measurements on that. The home sits within, on the south end is sitting in about 12 feet from where the existing home sits. And so it clears the property line there. On the west side, I'm within 20 feet from the property line. And then on the north side, we extend out 8 feet from the existing home, but we're still well within the 20 feet to the property line on the north.
Okay.
Yeah, Marcia, I think those double like lines are showing the measurements.
Okay. Like I said, I just got confused of why is one sitting on top of the other. I do agree, Mr. Munson, that I believe you fit all the setbacks. I just got confused by the line. So we can move on.
Okay.
May I just ask for clarity, Chair?
Go ahead, Melissa.
Thanks. Mr. Munson, I know you do great work. I'm just curious. So the access to this, there's an original or like an existing single wide stall for a garage, it looks like. Is the access to the addition to the garage, can you describe like how those are connected or not connected?
The home, the two homes will be connected, coming off the bedroom of the existing home. The home will, the addition would hook on the west side of the home right there, and then extend on into the den on that. As far as the garage, you would have access into the garage by a vehicle by going on the south side of the home, and then around in to the garage that way by a vehicle.
Great. And just to double check, I know our setbacks only are related to the building placement on the lot, but it looks like in the drawing there's an opportunity for like a vehicle to drive around the structure. It looks like maybe on the south side. So it looks like that's adequate then for the vehicle to be moving in that space?
Yes. Yeah, we'll do is enlarge the driveway on the south side of the home by about 6 feet, which will bring it over to the property line, and then take it back all the way to where you pull into the garage. So all of that will be parking area and also access into the garage. And then we want to increase the road going up there by 6 feet from the main road, where you turn off the main road going up to their place. We want to widen that road up by 6 feet also, and give them a little bit wider driveway.
So you're widening it to the 20 feet that's listed there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or discussion? Mr. Munson, I was just curious, we do, ask that any outdoor lighting be listed on here and that it be compliant with the dark sky ordinance or the outdoor lighting ordinance. Are you planning on installing any outdoor lighting on this addition?
There will be some can lights underneath the awning onto it, and then all the rest of the exterior lights will be according to the specs that Bluff has there to match the existing home that was already approved.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion from folks?
A motion to approve this land use clearance.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the land use clearance for it's the Munn project, Brown Munn project. As shown, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved unanimously. So I will get a copy of this let's see, I'll send it to you, Mr. Munson, and then you can get it to the property owners, and I'll also copy the appropriate people at San Juan County. I'm going to send that electronically. Do you need a paper copy as well?
Electronically would be fine, and I can print it off from there.
Okay. All right. I will work on that tomorrow. So thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Good night. Alrighty. Let's move on to item 4 on our agenda. Mr. Ladd Shumway is requesting information about a minor subdivision for single-family dwellings on approximately 35 acres of land near the transfer station in the area zoned A3 or agricultural 3. So Mr. Shumway, the floor is yours if you'd like to maybe tell us a bit about what you're thinking and what your questions are for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
What I'm thinking, I'm not planning on doing anything real soon, but I'm trying to get a feel of what you guys are thinking down in Bluff and what I can do and what I can't. I've got that 35 acres. It's owned between me and my brother. My mother owns another 40 acres out there. And as you know, it's zoned A3. And I want to possibly maybe build single family homes out there. And what I wanted to do possibly a shared well or separate wells with solar power for the houses. And I'm just wondering, is there anything that you can see that's wrong with that? You have a problem with?
Let's see. Would anybody like to say? Sorry, we just had somebody join. Go ahead, Marcia.
Mr. Shumway, I don't know that there's any problem. I think what we are, at least from my perspective, I wrote some.
Oh, Marcia, you just were muted again.
Sorry, I was hitting it. Mr. Shumway, I don't believe that there's a problem or problems. I think there are just challenges of understanding amongst us what is and isn't allowed. So I wrote some notes to the commission, just suggesting what I looked at. And what I looked at are a couple of things. First of all, I would mention the water, and that is that the Bluff Waterworks.
Oh, Marcia, you're muted again.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know where that's going because I'm not touching anything. You just don't want to hear me. The Bluff Waterworks has a source protection plan in place. My suggestion is that you talk to them just to make sure of the understanding how many wells versus how much city water. And that's just something, I don't know any details, except that I recall the idea was protect our source of water to the town by limiting how many separate wells could come in, or new wells. And like I said, I'm not saying this is wrong or a problem. I'm just suggesting it's a good question for the water board.
Doesn't the state engineer have the final say on any of that?
It's very true that the state engineer would have, as I understand it, give permission for wells. It's just an understanding with the process of the town or the Bluff Waterworks to say that they're hoping to do piping instead of wells that might cut into our source. And like I said, I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying it's worthy of a question.
I think.
I'm sorry. Okay. Whoever fixed that, thank you. That was a hack.
May I just ask a question? Because
No.
all of us
Wait.
at Copper Cliffs.
Wait,
Oh, sorry.
Miss
I'm
Brown,
sorry,
you have to
Marcia.
be recognized by the chair, and right now I think it's just the board that's
Yeah, I
talking.
think it's just the commission for now. We can come back to you, Ms. Brown. Thank you.
Anyway, Mr. Shumway, that's just one thing I had on my notes was water protection or source protection. The other thing I have on my notes is more of a discussion amongst the board members to say, the way I see it is A3 says you can have homes on the lots, and you can have up to I don't know where I put it on my notes, but you can have so many homes per acre and things like that. Therefore, I believe the answer is, excuse me, that you can have a subdivision in A3. And that's just my take on that, or my opinion. And I was hoping that would spark a little discussion amongst us in order to send you on the right path.
Yeah, well, I've read through it. It looks like you can have a single family home. I thought it said on a half an acre, but I know that it's county law to have on 1 acre if it's a well.
Sir, we don't have county law anymore. We have bluff law.
Well, then it says a half an acre, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're half an acre, but when you for A3 the max or the minimum is half an acre per lot. But when you come to us with your subdivision application, because if you're doing a minor subdivision application, which is 6 or less, then you come to planning and zoning. Anything more, you'd go to the Town of Bluff Council. You will come to us having already worked out your electrical connections and your water connections, so you'll already have talked to water board or dealt with the state if you need to do that with wells.
Okay. What about like roads? Do you have what do you require for a road? Do you have a road, the specs for a road? Any sort of, what do you require for that? How wide? What do you require for roads?
That's not a question I'm actually able to answer on the spot.
I can handle that.
And go ahead, please.
So we do have a roads department, and so we would put you in touch with them regarding what would be needed. I do know that the most recent subdivision that was put into Bluff, the roads did not meet specs, and so we're kind of in a process right now of figuring out what that looks like, seeing as they are private roads and they are not town roads, they are not Class C roads. So I would suggest that we put you in touch with our roads department, who would then, kind of talk to you about that process and what that would look like. But right now, the most recent subdivision has private roads.
Yeah.
But we do have road specs and such, I believe, in the subdivision ordinance. I'm sorry, I'm not looking because I'm trying to flip through pages at the same time. But if you use the subdivision ordinance, you get the directions for doing that versus just the zoning code.
Okay. So I guess your big concern is water, and I need to get a hold of Mark's pal and check on.
And like I said, I don't believe it, whether it's a concern or a challenge or whatever. I just suggest that I understood the Bluff Waterworks saying less wells, more piping, that for source protection. So it is worthy of a question before you, while you're in your planning stages. I would believe a meeting with the Bluff Waterworks would be a great idea.
I don't believe that they would be able to service us out there with any sort of water, because I don't think you'd have the pressure out there. So
I understand that challenge. However, the water does come somewhat near. So I'm just saying, we don't know that. And this Department of Planning and Zoning doesn't know that. I just remember it as a suggestion because I used to work more closely with the Bluff Waterworks back in the day when we were the service area. And I remember them suggesting that they would rather piping than wells, but I'm not saying no to this in any way.
So when you said that you're no longer part of the county, does the county not issue the permit after the land use clearance?
They are still our permit issuing authority, but we have our own ordinances for building and for zoning.
They still inspect?
They do, yeah.
They do the inspections. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Madam Chair, question for Mr. Shumway.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, sir. When you spoke up there with the state engineer's office, did anything come up about town reserved water rights?
No, I just called him the other day, and they just basically said that I could apply for a well if the state engineer feels that there's adequate water. Yeah, they will have a protest probably from Bluff City, but that doesn't mean that they can stop the wells. Because everybody protests. I've been around drilling wells, and I know everybody protests wells, but Bluff does have adequate water.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like we have a question from Malia.
Yeah. So I'm just looking through our subdivision regulations, and within the performance standards, it's 5.01.030. Section C is talking about, I'll just read it out loud. All lots within a proposed subdivision must be served by culinary water, sewer or septic systems, and dry utilities, electricity, telephone, data, and/or cable. Utility easements must be clearly shown. Where culinary water or sewer service cannot be provided by the town, the applicant shall deliver a written service commitment by the applicable culinary water/sewer provider. And if culinary water service is to be provided via individual wells, the applicant must show feasibility of supply via a well report or similar data. And so that means to me is mostly that last sentence, is that we would need a well report and then also a written statement by the Bluff Waterworks stating that they cannot deliver service, just so that we do have,
Yeah.
if I understand that correctly.
Thank you, Malia.
So I think the way it goes, I would apply for a well. I drill the well. If we hit water and there's adequate water, I file for a water right through the state of Utah. If they feel like that there is enough water there, they will approve my well. And so I guess that's what you would need, is the approved water right, saying that there is adequate water.
Yep.
I think that's right.
You are our first well for the Planning and Zoning Commission, so thank you for your patience in learning with us.
I holiday construction a couple months ago. It's in your city. Can't think of the word. City limits.
What are you talking? I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that? Because you cut out.
Yeah.
I was just saying that they were just saying that would be the first well, and I know they just drilled one out just out by the airport a couple months ago. It was for livestock use, but maybe you guys weren't aware of that one.
This is our first our land use clearance well for residential purposes, I should say.
It's for residential. So livestock, it doesn't matter. You can drill well if it's for livestock use.
It doesn't come to planning and zoning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Any other questions from you, Mr. Shumway?
I think that you answered my questions pretty good. I just needed to meet you and see what everything was going to be like in Bluff. Like I said, I have no plans really in the near future, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what I might be able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, my family has a lot of land down there right next to Copper Cliffs. We own all that. We own all that out west. We're just figuring out what we can do with that land.
Great. Well, thanks, and feel free to shoot us any other questions via email or get on a future agenda as needed. Looks like Mrs. Brown has a question. Oh, you're still muted, Anne. Yeah.
Thanks. Just a quick one. Is the land you're speaking of just west of the dirt road that's behind Copper Cliffs?
The land that I'm talking about is clear out by the transfer station, out by Stickety, whatever it is. It's there's a for sale sign out there right now.
Right.
I've been, I've had that for 25 years. We traded it to the BLM for some of the land we own down at Hovenweep because they needed it for their trails and stuff. So we traded to the Hovenweep National Park, or to the BLM anyway, and that's how I got that. We got that 80 acres out there, and we've always planned on maybe doing something with it someday, and and I'm hoping we can someday, and I hope that we can. Anyway.
Great. Thank you.
Are you in Copper Cliffs?
Yes, sir.
You're right there. So my mother owns just right next to you, kind of right where the little gravel road goes up through there, right in that area. So, and that's zone residential.
Right.
And so if you guys got any buyers for all this, just send them my way. We won't have to worry about this stuff. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for putting me on the agenda. Appreciate it. We'll see you later.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right, commissioners. Since item 5 was removed from our agenda, we'll skip that and let's go on to the email address update and login information from Erin.
Thanks, Amanda. I will just start with, Amanda, I'd like to grab you immediately after this call. Don't log out because of what happened during Shumway's presentation. Moving on to email addresses.
The hacking, not.
What's that?
You mean the hacking, right? Not.
Yes, that specifically. Thank you. So yeah, don't log out of this meeting. So for email addresses, we've done a large IT shift. So the town council has migrated to Microsoft 365. And with that, we now have the ability to add a whole lot of additional email addresses that are affiliated with our townofbluff.org domain. So we are not .gov yet. However, I will say that there are other local governments who still use .org, and in building this system, we're putting some additional strongholds in place to protect our data and protect our information. So each of you, commissioners, will be receiving a townofbluff.org domain. Now, up until this point, there has been one planning and zoning email, which was affiliated with the town. So that's your planning zoning at townofbluff.org. All of that data has moved over, which is great. Marcia, I apologize. There's probably going to be some new ones in when you open that up. What we have set up, though, is that each of you will have an individual account, and then each of you will also be able to see what's in the shared account. I would recommend that Marcia still be the person who's responsible for it, but it'll just be easier for you all to see what's going on. And if you have no inclination to look at the shared one, that's okay too. But I would say as a commission, it's good that you can go in and see it. So if you don't mind, Amanda, if I have permission to share my screen, I can kind of give you all a quick preview of what you're going to see.
I think you should have that.
Awesome. And I am here in town, so if anyone needs me to walk you through getting this set up, I'm definitely more than happy to. It's really important that you get in, make sure your password is working and everything. And for you all, it's a little different because you have these individual Gmail accounts. The data is not necessarily migrating. We've talked through the pros and cons of that, or, for Malia's sake, you don't have anything yet. But what we would like to do is ask you to completely stop using those Gmail accounts and move over to this town domain once you're able to get in. A lot of that has to do with grammar requests and things like that. It's really important that we're able to track it. What's good, though, is that planning zoning main account is going to get transferred over. So we will have all of that data. So let me show you. I don't have like a perfect thing to show. Let me log out here. All right. So we are going to send you all to, so instead of going to gmail.com, you are going to go, and I'll send you the link. You're going to go to outlook.office.com. So that's your new login. You all will only be logging in through a web browser. So that's outlook.office.com. And when you get there, so mine's manager, you're going to enter the password I give you to start. I definitely recommend that you change this password. That's very important for security's sake. But you're also going to be prompted to set up an authentication, so a two-factor authentication. I'm thinking there's probably one person on the call who doesn't have a smartphone. Are there other folk who does or doesn't have a smartphone?
I have a smartphone.
I have a smartphone.
I have a smartphone.
I have a smartphone.
Okay, thank you all.
I have a stupid phone.
Okay, that was my thought, and that's okay, Ed. I'm going to work with you separately to get it set up. But what you'll do is you'll go in and have two-factor authentication. So we'll set up your smartphones. Ed, you and I are going to talk about dumb phones. And really, the purpose of this is because you do not have a town computer. You don't have a town asset that's being protected by our own firewalls. We want to make sure there's some two-factor authentication to protect the data that's going to be in this Outlook account. So the very first time you sign in, there's going to be a little extra work. Now, the cool thing, you don't need to see my whole inbox here, but the cool thing is you're going to have your individual account. And then what you'll do, and I'll send some screenshots so you all can replicate this, but what you'll do is you'll go up to this upper right-hand corner and click open another mailbox. And for you all, you'll find the planning zoning at townofbluff.com one. I don't have access to that right now. I have access to our office one. But once you select this and hit open, then it takes you to that other mailbox. So that's kind of an extra protection that, you know, you're already in your own account. There's no way to access the shared one unless you're signed in and authenticated and everything. So I wanted to show you that. I will send out like a full graphic tutorial as to how you do it. But again, you know, our goal is to get you all transitioned over. You will not have as many of the issues that the town council had. They had a lot of issues because we were moving things over. I will send you each the outlook.office.com in the morning with the tutorial, and then I will contact each of you directly to share your passwords. I don't like sharing those all at the same time. I would say, you know, I'll try to get these out before 10 a.m. tomorrow. What questions or concerns do you all have before I share the next little piece of maybe good or bad news, depending on how you look at it?
Erin, I'm out of town tomorrow, so, you know, Friday morning or something or whatever, but just so you don't try and find me and I'm not there.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks, Marcia. All right. And I know, you know, Outlook is definitely a pretty common email application, but I definitely recognize this is a change period. So whatever questions you have, I am here to help. I have definitely shoulder to shoulder with many of the council members to kind of get them through this transition. So things are going to look a little bit different. So with that, what I'd like to ask is that we get you all online and up and working, make sure you can access your personal accounts, make sure Marcia and other folks can access the shared account. And then kind of down the line, it doesn't have to be immediate, but you guys can kind of talk at what pace makes the most sense for you. But we are going to have shared folders. So instead of putting your documents on Google Drive, we're going to ask that you put them on this town secured drive. So it's just a shared drive through Microsoft. So I didn't want to spring all of that at the same time. So what I'm thinking is probably over the course of February, we can talk about timing. I have heard multiple things as to people think that the shared folders in Microsoft are less user friendly. So we'll talk about, Amanda is nodding emphatically. So we can talk about that, what that looks like and getting a good organizational structure for you. This is actually something that I haven't even talked to the town council about yet because I know it's a big change. And same thing, we're getting their emails up and running. You all are already using a shared drive though, so hopefully the transition is a little bit better. But I just wanted to share with you kind of what we're doing. And again, the reason really is that it is super important that we protect our assets, and in having this protection through our IT system is going to be important. So I guess then that leads to the third thing. So Microsoft uses Teams. And so as of right now, I have not even hinted at this change to the town council, but that will be something that I would ask you to do as well as we continue to move down the line. We're going to shift away from Google Meets and shift to Google Teams. Because again, kind of like what happened, I'm not sure, what weird timing, we would want everything to kind of be in the same realm with the same protections. So lots of information. You knew it was kind of coming, but here it is. What questions or concerns do you have?
I think, Erin, that we won't know, or at least I'll speak for myself. I won't know any questions until I start playing with it and go, what the heck are you talking about? So, I mean, I've used Outlook in the old days. I know that Outlook exists, but obviously it's not your mother's Outlook anymore.
No, and I will agree. I mean, I've used it for all of my companies, and it has changed. And especially given that we're having you all utilize a web application, that will definitely be a little bit different. Plus, you have that two-factor authentication, which I know it takes some getting used to, but there are good reasons to have it. So I really appreciate everyone's patience as we work through it. And yeah, and Melissa, I will be honest, when we were setting all this up, because this has been months in the making, I didn't have you on the list of emails. I do think it would be appropriate to have one if you are intending to be around for at least another month or two.
Thanks. I was going to ask that question, but was going to ask privately. And I'm totally cool to do whatever you want me to do, whatever makes sense, especially if the documents or whatever are going to be accessed in that way. I think it makes sense as well.
I think it's a super easy add. So your information, your login for information might come like Friday or Monday, maybe not tomorrow, but I'll do my best.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I am in town. I'm going to be out of town next week, but I am in town. So please let me know. We can shoulder to shoulder. Just be patient with your fellow commissioners as well, though. I think I will probably send you all some test emails. I will be looking for responses because if you don't respond, it tells me like, oh, hey, we have issues. But just let me know. I am here to help. And I'm sorry this has been so long in the making, but we're here. So.
Marcia?
Has the planning and zoning general email switched to Outlook? Okay.
Yes, it has. It went live. They probably shifted that one yesterday, if I had to guess. So
Okay.
yesterday or the day before. So there may have been an email that snuck in. So they please blame the town manager if you didn't get to it before tonight's meeting.
Okay. Well, I guess my thought would be that if you and I work Friday morning because I'm not around tomorrow to help, then I want to make sure someone has checked that email because
Sure.
I check that email all day long. And whenever I'm sitting around at the computer, I just hit check so that I know I haven't missed something from the public.
Absolutely.
And
I
you know.
apologize. That was definitely
No, it's not, nothing's critical. I mean,
I'll hack in tomorrow and make sure that there's critical and I will send it to you.
Okay.
Thank you for all of your hard work, Erin. I appreciate it.
Thank you all. I'm glad that we're like making you, I can't believe it has been up to this point, but I'm glad you're part of the town domain now. So thanks.
Very exciting. Thank you. Any final questions for Erin? Alrighty. Okay. Well, let's move on to the final item on our agenda, which is items for our next meeting, which I believe is in March. Is that correct? Look at my calendar.
Yes, because of President's holiday.
That's what I thought.
No, 15th.
February 15th.
15th. No, we do have the 15th.
Okay, good. We have 2 meetings this month. So, agenda items for that day. We did bump the RV discussion, just knowing that we had a full agenda today. So we could put that on next month's agenda. What else would folks like to see on that? Marcia, go ahead.
We bumped the LUC also. The discussion of the LUC clarifying the language or something. I forget what it said. It said, you can look in the minutes, but we did ask about that. So there were two things, LUC and RV.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Anything else folks would like to see on that agenda?
So because of the other item that was originally on our agenda, do we have any sort of solar ordinance that I have missed? Okay, so maybe even just start kind of like we're thinking about an RV ordinance, maybe also start thinking about a solar ordinance, just so that we have some sort of say of what solar looks like.
Or alternative energy or natural energy entirely. And because you're right, Malia, that was in fact going to, the two things that happened tonight were both going to lead to discussions. Can we really have a subdivision in an agricultural land? I believe the answer is yes. But if someone was bringing solar, what did that mean? So, and where could they put it? So I agree, Malia, completely.
Okay. That sounds good. Anything else for that agenda?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Final item on our agenda tonight is other. Any other that folks would like to bring up?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, motion, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. The meeting is adjourned at 6:52 p.m. Thanks so much, everybody. And Aaron, I'll stay on the line with you.